Hello, how are you? I hope you're having a wonderful week. My name's Shaban. I'm pleased to say that this man over here is a man who we go way back. Weirdly, very, very strange place indeed that we've been together. To Good Morning Britain showbiz desk, now to YouTube extraordinaire, James Allcott. Hello, James. How are you?
Hello. I'm pleased you finished that off. We've gone to weird places together. It's crazy, isn't it? It's funny how it's such a small world. So I remember doing the night shifts and you shadowed. And I remember in the last 20 minutes of the night shift, because I didn't talk to anyone about sport because we were doing entertainment for Richard Arnold, not
we were
the
cutting
director.
Ulis of Talisa.
Well, that's so funny. Yeah, probably. Or Simon Cowden, something.
Yeah.
And I remember the last 20 minutes you were saying, it just came out of you, I love football. I was like, what? Now you're telling me, we started at midnight. Could have spoken about that. And now here we are, you're thriving, which is great.
Thank you.
I know I'm excited to have a chat about this because I was gonna say, and then I was like, maybe we should record this. Now, this might not be PC or safe.
Say it, because this is what we need to discuss. Let's just educate each other.
Okay. So I'm a bit annoyed. God, it's dangerous, isn't it?
Say it.
I'm a bit annoyed by the sort of PR narrative of this tournament because, and I think when I think about this, I think the perspective I have is obviously not the wrong one, but it's not the important one. But I get this feeling that women's football is just so thriving. It's so strong. It's still growing, but the important thing and the focus on that should be that it is growing and growing more so than any other sport or any sport business probably as well.
Yeah.
But I feel like, because I went to the World Cup in France, we did a week and went to loads of games, loved it. And I remember thinking this is going into the stratosphere as long as there's commitment, right? What's been annoying me is that it feels like there's still this sort of preachy thing, and I won't go into details, but I got offered to do something for a brand, and the talking point was that if you're not into this, then you're not really into football, you're not into England or something like that.
Okay.
And it was just a bit like a lot of the promos and everything I'm seeing at the moment is kind of trying to still validate the sport. And first of all, I don't that's gone. Surely that went ages. I remember watching, I think it was in Canada, I want to say 2006 or 5. It might have been the World Cup. And I remember I was at uni, so I remember just being enthralled by it. And I think with there's an audience there of morons, right? That are just always going to turn their nose up at it, like you would have with women's boxing or something like that. Yeah. But I think there's a huge silent majority that is into sport, but maybe just doesn't know the narrative of the games just yet. Who are the important people? Where's the rivalry? What's the history between them all? And I just feel like it's being done the wrong way. Yeah. Is that unfair?
No, I appreciate everything that you've said right then. And I think this is worth a conversation because I feel we need to kind of hash all that out. I feel you're right in a way the Women's Euros is, I don't think it's been forced on anybody. I don't think it's been forced down anyone's throat. It's a tournament in itself for football, but it's women and it's in this country and they're going big on it. Right now, I'm a proud Scotswoman. If Scotland were at this tournament, I'd be jamming Scotland down your throat because sure. That's what I want women's football in Scotland to be as well. However, I think that brands, like you mentioned there, companies, media are pushing the women's game because they want to be on the right side of PC probably. And there's sometimes a fine line of just keeping it normal because it's football and yes, it's the women's tournament, but we're not there yet. There's still more of the audience than not that go women's football, no one cares, but it's football. And I feel sometimes, and then working in sport, working at TalkSport, working at various different media companies who focus on sport, that even when you're having conversations, sometimes there's this like justification. Yeah, but like this one time I covered like this women's game, and and everyone's like trying to be on it, and it's fine. It's fine. For me, the norm was going to watch girls football from when I was 7, because my twin sister played for a girls team, and then she went into women's football, and now she's playing in the WSL. So for me, women's football has always been normal. Women's football on this stage at this tournament, this isn't normal, so I think it's even for people who have been pushing it for quite some time, this is unbelievable, so I think then for people who aren't used to it or now feel that you're being maybe ever so slightly bombarded.
It's not even the bombarded. It's I think we should be bombarded. I think there should be a very clear commitment to women's football and for the profile of it to be raised, and that happens by it being in front of our eyes all the time. Like I go back to the I want to say a World Cup with Canada. I think we got to the semis or something. It was there and I could watch it, and I liked sport, I like football, so it was as simple as that. I think maybe where you're right is the fact that there's obviously a spectrum of people, and so the fact that I'm bored about the virtue signaling, and I just like to talk, and we're gonna, and that's why I was like, that's why I'm excited to ask you some questions. I want to talk about the football, because I think that's the fun bit of it, right? So I'm just maybe because I'm bored of it doesn't mean we should move on yet. I think that's probably the check, right?
And that's fair to say. And I think that what's brilliant is you've been open to this conversation, because I know that your channel and your subscribers and your followers, by the way, just subscribe there, bottom right, hint. Yeah, hurry up. They might not be interested. They're probably like typing already, James, why are you talking about this shit? But this might happen.
But you know what, Siobhan, that's where you're wrong, actually, because it is the thing is the world we live in now. It's about the loud people. Actually, the people that we should all try and be serving are the quiet people that don't comment. They just enjoy the channel. They enjoy whatever it might be. And so any of my lot watching this, do subscribe, because this is about sport. Women's rowing, men's rowing, no one gives a shit. Sorry, no one cares, because it's just good competition, it's drama. That's all that matters. And there is a huge silent majority there of people. This is my point, is I think in terms of the scooping up of people to build the audience, we're missing the point, because you need to make it about
entertainment. There's entertainment value. Are you entertained? Watching games? Is that okay? The standard might not be the Premier League standard, but they're not 50 years ago moving into the Premier League. There's a gap between it. There's a gulf between it. We're not comparing the both. You're allowed to just like football because women are playing it as well. That's sound. I love Manchester United. Manchester United are so bad at the moment. I want to tear my hair out some days, but I still watch Manchester United, and I still turn up at Boreham Wood week in, week out to support Arsenal in the WSL, because I have investment with that team. That's the thing. You're allowed to have both options. It's cool. No one's going to judge it.
I thought Leah Williamson, I watched a documentary on BBC and Leah Williamson. Again, that was one of the things that was gently annoying me. I thought it was a good documentary, but it's more the other stuff. But I thought she made a good point. She was like, it's like fencing. Like, if you're not into fencing, just don't watch it. And I think I think it's safe to be brave enough to go, if you're not into it, men, women, whoever, just honestly crack on, because there is just a huge amount of people that are interested in their country doing well, or just watching a bit of drama. So,
I have debates on, I don't know if you ever listened to White and Jordan on TalkSport, Jim White and Simon Jordan.
Sure,
right? And I have debates with, Jim and I, obviously we're Scots people, so he's always got your back, and Simon will debate the sky is blue, but Simon and I are sound as well. And we debated about this the other day, and Simon saying, I'm allowed to have my opinion. I don't watch it. That's fine. However, at TalkSport, we are buying the rights to this tournament. So when I turn on the day after England beat Norway 8-0, which was a massive upset, by the way, I want more than, I don't care about women's football, so I'm not watching it. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care about cricket, but I still have to watch it to cover it, because this is our job. And when you are privileged to sit in this chair 5 days a week for the cash money that you're on, You know, you need to bring me a little bit more than that. So that's absolutely fine. If you don't watch it, that's fine. You don't need to come at me every single day, tell me why I shouldn't care about women's football or why we shouldn't care about women's football. I'm not asking you to care, but I don't need anybody to hate on it at the same time. Does that make sense?
It's so redundant. I totally agree. Agree.
Absolutely. So the tournament so far, James, the women's
should we talk about football?
Let's go there. We're only still in the group stages, which is amazing because for the last 10 days, I've been up and down the M1 more than a tow truck.
So how many games have you been to?
I've been to 5 so far. I'm back at 1
Good
tomorrow. I'm at Iceland, Finland tomorrow. So yeah, I've been up and down. I've been covering Northern Ireland for obvious reasons. I'm not going to be completely tied into the England side. But it's been absolutely wonderful because Northern Ireland, just to throw this out there, I'm half Northern Irish. So the fact that Northern Ireland are at this tournament is a story in itself. They've never qualified for a major ever. They only had 2 full-time players professionally in their squad when they qualified. They're managed by Kenny Shields, who's like the most old school dinosaur that you're ever going to come across, but he's hysterical at the same time and the girls love him. So he's almost like the old school guy in women's football, growing the women's game, but says all the wrong things. He was the guy who said that women are too emotional who concede goals.
I was going to say, I was scared to ask in case there were cracks in my knowledge, but I was like, oh, is that the guy?
That's him. Right. And he's wonderful. Like, I really rate him. In fact, watching him pitch side at St. Mary's the last 2 games, I've been like, all right, Kenny Shields actually looking all right as well. There's something about Kenny Shields. So I've been up and down. I've been up to the Switzerland game at Lee Sports Village, which is where Manchester United women play their home games. Yep. And we're just seeing, James, I've never seen it before. And like I say, I've done this all of my life. I've never seen this spectacle. I've never seen camera crews and compounds for trucks, dedicated to media, and the fan villages going through the towns into the stadium. It's been absolutely exceptional. But what have you made of it so far?
It's been good. I don't think there's been, your normal shocks that you see in a tournament as of yet. I was intrigued by Spain losing to Germany because I thought with Barcelona and it being filled with those kind of players, I expected a lot more. But for them to lose, I guess Germany are a really good side as well. And the goals were a couple of great headers, wasn't it? It was a centre forward. Was it Pop?
Yeah, Pop.
Yeah. So Germany are always strong. But I expected just a little bit more from Spain. But what I found interesting was that you're always wondering to see what the style of play is. And for Spain, it's, it is so Spanish, isn't it? And it's the same problem, like having someone up top to finish off the chances. I was, obviously blown away by the England result and really confused, actually. Maybe you can enlighten me on this one.
Go on.
Because, and I've kind of, found it out a little bit because I was like, look at the rankings. And we're 7th and Norway are 8th. I remember Norway were in the World Cup final. I know it's a long, long time ago. It was in the maybe late 90s or something like that. But, for them to have been in the World Cup final at that stage, and if you think of the growth of the sport and, the stars that they've got, Hansen, etc., I can't get my head around an 8-0. And I think it's one of those where there will be the Simon Jordans will roll their eyes at an 8-0 scoreline. But that's, why is that occurring? Why is it 8-0?
Well, I have to be fair. I think the Norway result was freak. It was freaky deaky, and it was as listening to I was driving back from St. Mary's because I was at the Northern Ireland game, and I was driving up the road for the first half, and the commentators Sam Matterface and Leanne Sanderson, as it got to 3-0, 4-0, they just started to kind of not know what to say, not know what to do. Yeah. Their reactions were also a bit like, what is happening? It was on it. I tweeted, is this a dream? That is this? It just didn't feel real because Norway are one of the most outstanding sides when it comes to forwards and attack. And we Guro Wrighton, she's been exceptional in the WSL. She's a Chelsea player. And her season has been outstanding. She's been one of the best players in the Women's Super League. She's then just sat behind Caroline Graham-Hansen, who you mentioned there, plays for Barcelona, who's an exceptional striker. And then on her right, Ada Hegerberg, who's the Ballon d'Or winner from 5 years ago. And she has scored more goals than anyone in this competition.
And is it quite similar to men's football in the sense that Scandinavian players come to this country quite freely? Like that was, I know, like Norwegian and Swedish players, certainly, again, this is maybe the 90s, I'm showing my age, but like there were loads of them that came to England and played in the Premier League. Is there a lot of Norwegian players in the WSL, or
I wouldn't say there's lots, to be fair. Over the 12
right.
teams, there's not lots, but there are a few decent ones, you know. Danish, Norwegian, you've got a few stars, right? So I would say the most famous Norwegian we've got in the WSL is Guro Reiten for Chelsea.
The centre back plays for Man United, is that right?
Yes, Dorisdottir. Yeah.
So, I mean, these are huge clubs, aren't they?
Absolutely. Dorisdottir, I thought, had a good game against Northern Ireland, but she got run ragged. And Julia Blackstad as well. You know, again, it was an awful, awful performance defensively from Norway. They were somewhere and they weren't at the pitch that day. They were not at Amex, and it was just horrendous turning on that second half and going, okay, this is a worry, because actually for this tournament, we were excited to see the dark horses of the tournament going to be Norway. Now, I'm not the only one saying this. This is this is experts, this is pundits, this is former players, this is players still in this competition, this is women's players all over the world, and enthusiasts and fans who are going, Norway's are the ones to watch. Okay, there might be the problem is that they've not got the strength and depth, but I was expecting England to be 2-0 down, you know, go into the second half, maybe get a goal. 2-1 was like a favourite score. So the fact that Norway just did what they did was unbelievable. And Ada Hegerberg, who I'll just love her, like, even seeing her in the flesh the other night, I was like, I love you. She's exceptional. She's a complete babe as well. But, you know, she said, she had this fight talk that I'm saving all my goals for England. She got subbed off. And she
got taken off, yeah.
Awkward as hell.
Yeah.
But listen, they'll still come out of the group, James. So what happens next? You know, what happens further on in this competition for Norway?
So, but I guess my next question with the Norway-England debacle is what percentage of that is Norway bad, and what percentage of that is, maybe percentage is the wrong metric, but how much of it is Norway being bad, and how much of it, you know, England being outrageously good and something happening here?
England were outrageously good. I've never seen a performance like it from any England side before. I've never seen anything like that from any women's team before. You know, okay, Barcelona in the Champions League final, they beat Chelsea 2 seasons ago 4-0, and they ran them ragged, right? But 8-0 was that was a horrific first half as well, wasn't it? But they Chelsea sort of found their feet in the second half of that one. I remember that one. So yeah, because obviously the football that I watch, it's the highlights of WSL, and then it's England. And when I look at England, this is the thing, again, I want to kind of get past maybe the preconceptions that I have, which is that, you're seeing how well Chelsea are doing, the money that Man City have put into their situation. Man United have arrived in the last couple of years as well. The ranking, that FIFA ranking for England, then, is that completely misleading going into this? Because I think there's about 5 teams that have got a higher FIFA ranking, and with that strong league, are England actually favourites for this, or should they be? I'd say Germany and France. They're going to face Spain in the quarterfinals. If they get through that, then to France and Germany, I think they will go through. This is where you're going to see more of a match. But I've already said this about Norway. This is going to be their toughest test. If they can beat Germany and France, well, yes, then you're really contending. But the USA are an outstanding side. Obviously, they're not in this competition. Canada are a good side as well. But yeah, I would say now we're starting to see that FIFA ranking starting to change for England, which is a good thing when it comes to women's football in this country. That's what I'm most buzzing about. But yeah, some of like the top 15, the top 15, the top 20 teams are in this competition, and then you've got Northern Ireland rocking up at like 47. We're just glad to be here. That's a step, that's progress. Now we're full time. Well done, job done. It's all going to start somewhere. England have been professional for quite some time. The FA have been invested in England for quite some time, but of the last few years now, they're really pushing it. But it's the young talent, James, like, Alessia Russo from Manchester United. I can't stop talking about her, but she's outrageous. She's just such a solid player. Ella Toone as well from Manchester United. Lauren Hemp from Man City.
Hemp's the one for me.
She'd run you around the park, man.
Well, obviously, like she's class. She's really. And do you know, when I was looking at the squad, do you know what struck me? Like Nikita Paris. I mean, I remember why she's not in she's not starting. Like what's going on here? Like the depth there.
Yeah.
And that, it comes back to what we're saying, is that you have to speculate to accumulate. And that's what Nottingham Forest, sorry, wrong video. That's what Northern Ireland are. They're at the start of that journey.
Yeah.
But you can't just, that's when we talk about the competition. Like it all takes time. It all takes time. And England now, like I say, the depth there, it's amazing. I was listening to some podcasts about it as well. I thought it was interesting, a couple of players playing in different positions.
Yeah.
Is that really common then? Like Leah Williamson dropping into centre back.
So Leah Williamson plays centre back for Arsenal. She's a good season. Serena Wiegman called her up as a midfielder and plays in the midfield. However, in the warm-up tournament, she kind of dropped her between both. Even mid-game, she would do a sub. Leah Williamson would drop to defence, whatever like that. So she's versatile. She can move it around. I enjoyed watching her in the midfield. I enjoyed seeing her there. I think her link-up play was really nice. She's got a good kind of forward player, but defensively she can spray out lovely balls, and our communication from the back's decent as well, and she feels more confident there, and she's had a decent season for Arsenal there. However, then you look at Millie Bright, on her side, who's had a great 3 seasons for Chelsea, and she's right to be in that position. Leah being floated between the both positions is a problem for some people. It's not a problem for me. I think she can do it, because then I would like to see Alex Greenwood in defence as well. Another one who's had a good season for Manchester City. Yeah. Rachel Daly, she is from the US, and she actually plays for her club as a forward. As she's a top.
That's goals. It. Yeah.
But she's playing left back, so it's bonkers. I don't know. But she did an interview the other day, and she was saying, I look at this team and there's so many forward players. I'm happy to just be there. I'm happy to be on the pitch. And Serena Wiegman is one of the best coaches in women's football. She's tried, she's tested, she's been there, she's done that. Do what Serena Wiegman says, please. That's what I think, and it's working. I mean, you can't actually look and say, well, she called that one wrong. She's been playing Rachel Daly up front. You mentioned Nikita Paris. How much are we going to see her in this tournament? We've not seen Beth England really in this tournament either. So there's so many different things to take into consideration when it comes to Nikita Paris, Beth Mead. When Nikita moved from Lyon back to Arsenal last season, they were competing for that same position, and Beth Mead had this mad rebirth, and she's been absolutely frightening. And I know Beth, and she's a lovely girl, and she's been through it on and off the pitch. She's had several different things going on, and she's like, the world's just at her feet at the moment, and she's clinical. I mean, I think her football has been absolutely outstanding as well. And Nikita Paris might get a move to Manchester United. That's the chat at the minute, and I feel she should deserve that move, because she needs more game time to be then considered to get that spot off of Beth, and she's not going to get it at the minute.
Do you think that's not something when we talk about Daly, is when you get into the knockout stages? Do you think that's where? So it's Spain, is it? Is it going to be Spain next round?
It's Spain, yeah.
Yeah. So with a team like Spain, you're going to own the ball a lot of the time, or attempt to. That's a very different game for England to have to deal with. Is that where? So as much as like the depth there, obviously the league is providing this talent. There's a lot of money in the WSL, which is wonderful, and you can see the talent coming through. Is the concern going into these next few games, because I guess the aim is obviously to go the way for the Spain game? Is there, once the level goes up, or maybe you've done it already with Norway, but once the level goes up and you're being challenged that little bit more, is that the concern, that the fullback position's a little bit? Because I heard somewhere else, and I was like a bit confused by it, because Lucy Bronze is obviously sort of has been the face of the England team for a long time. It's just moved to Barcelona. But I was listening to a podcast, and they were saying that both fullbacks could quite possibly be a bit of a problem for England. Is the Lucy Bronze thing, is that nonsense? And I guess on the other side, is that a weakness for England, do you think, once we play better teams?
I haven't found Lucy Bronze outstanding in any of this competition so far. I found her a wee bit overrated, just between us girls.
I've seen a few of those
in this competition. I've been a bit
like,
okay, but she is an outstanding player, another Ballon d'Or winner. I think the game's changing a lot over the last couple of years, and Lucy Bronze deserves to be in that squad. She's a leader. She's like this. The girls in the team, the women on the team, always say she's ice cold. She's the most confident player. She's been there. She's done this. She knows a big stage. She's important to have in that squad.
Yeah, you need that mix, don't you?
Yeah, for various reasons. When you mix the likes of Lucy Bronze, what's her chops? Ellen White. It's a shame Steph Houghton's not around, but even say Fran Kirby. you're taking
Millie Bright's got experience as well, right?
Millie Bright, if you're taking some of those experienced players and then chucking in Lauren Hemp, you know, and Ella Toon and Alessia Russo, and some of these younger players, Georgia Stanley, even to a certain extent, you are just seeing just a beautiful mix of players who have got so much ahead of them and players who are doing this maybe for the final time. And I think that's what's lovely about this England side. Again, I'm starting to sound like an England fan, but you know, it's a desirable squad to be in.
Yeah, for sure. So who's going to win it?
Okay.
Come on. Let's get to the nitty-gritty.
France, I think their opening game was absolutely wonderful, you know, and they weren't defensively bad. They weren't overly strong and forward. They were just outstanding. You know, they're a different breed, James. They're built 6 foot, you know, they're big girls as well.
Yeah. I was going to ask you that, and again, it's a nervous question to ask, but like, how important do you think that is?
I think it's
physicality
important.
Of it all. Yeah.
I think when you look at Millie Bright in defence, I like to see her like she can smash a striker kind of thing. When I look at Leah Williamson in defence, she can be half the size of Millie Bright kind of thing. So I also look and go, I think it's important when you look at France and they like say Guioro and, you know, Katoto running at you at full speed, you know, with the pace and the power they've got. I think it's important.
Is it Miedema? Is that how you say her name? Miedema. Sorry. You know, and the German striker as well. All of them like very, very imposing as well. So that's interesting. I was intrigued by that. So you're saying France are going to win it. I actually was reading something about like players that are going to be great at the tournament, and Wendy Renard was one of them. But the thing that really confused me was this sentence, right? So I've got it in front of me actually. France have won of the most exciting yet combustible squads in the history of the game. And as such, Captain Renard will play a big role in determining the fate of Le Bleu tournament. I read another thing and it was saying there would be quarterfinalists. So what's this combustible stuff? Any knowledge of this?
Good question. I mean, it's a squad made up of some decent Champions League performing players, you know, dominating PSG. So I don't know about that. Perhaps that's something from their club football. Oh, do you know, it might come down to the story of what happened with PSG recently with Unruly, and she came from Barcelona, and she was the girl who got attacked by the teammate, you know, in the Tonya Hardens type.
Yeah.
Maybe I love that story. I mean, God love her, she's fine.
That must be it.
Maybe that's something that, you know, there are players on that side who are I wouldn't want to bump into in a dark alley because they might just batter you. So perhaps that's But Wendy Renard, you know, somebody who's doing something for women's football, you know, she's an icon in France. You know, they absolutely love her, and she's somebody you won't miss. She's like 6'3", hard going at you. It's not something you want to be on the other side of. I think France will be outstanding in the quarterfinals moving forward. I think they can go on and win it. And you know, don't get me wrong, Sweden as well, Netherlands. James, if you haven't already seen the Netherlands footage of the Dutch army going down Sheffield High Street, Google it now. It's brilliant.
Well, I'm going to Google it just a second.
When they won in 2017, they sold out their stadium, and they're like the first kind of side to have, aside from the US, but to have that traveling support. And it's outstanding. And I think the idea of Netherlands fans going up Wembley Way with the party parade that they do
special
will be absolutely outstanding. And I love some of the Netherlands players like Vivianne Miedema. I absolutely love her. She's a good girl as well, and I think she's not ready not to be the GOAT just yet, you know.
It's interesting that, because I guess that is the thing where, again, coming back to what we were talking about at the start, it's like, I guess there's because there's ground being broken all the time, there's new things to kind of see and celebrate and get used to as well. So like when you're talking about that, you know, that Dutch army of fans, I was listening to a podcast and it was talking about how the England team have been working on body language and communicating, because when they're playing at Old Trafford, they can't hear each other. And it's something that's kind of new to them, and they're thinking that could be an advantage down the line. So I think actually, as the game, as it progresses, because it's just such a huge tournament now, that's going to be something that will help those those more established sides going into the knockout stages. And that's why I keep coming back to, I don't think it's finished for Spain. I think that kind of that calmness, and I worry about England playing Spain, because I think that ability to just retain the ball and to calmly have the ball, if they can do it calmly, is something that you've seen time and again with Spanish teams in particular as a tournament progresses. So
they're without their deadly weapon though. You know, Alexa Putellas injured the night before the tournament. She's the current Ballon d'Or winner. She is an unbelievable player in front of goal, and they're without her. They're missing a couple of their key players actually. And I think that might be the part of Spain where they are so good. And actually against Germany the other night, they were brilliant, but Germans were a different breed. So I do look at Spain and go, I think England, if they can beat Spain, it's a massive achievement, but I don't think it's going to be quite the way it was against Norway. It can't be. It cannot be. And if it is, I'll eat this fist.
Okay, that's dangerous. The last thing on England then, do you think with the crowd, do you think they will be fine with the expectations of it? It's obviously lifted up the men's side a year ago. Do you think that's what you're going to get? You're going to get all the pieces coming together, and then that extra 10% of the crowd's going to roar them on to victory.
That's the thing. I think their opening game against Austria, that's what threw them ever so slightly, was the fact going out at Old Trafford, and 68,000 fans there, that's never happened in the women's game in this country. So this was new. This was a big thing. This is a bit weird, so I think they've had that moment. I think they now cross that off. They go, we are one of the best teams. We're competing to win this. This is our hometown. These are our fans. Let's just go for this kind of thing. I think they've had that moment, and they're going to learn from that. They're a bit wowed. They're a bit shocked themselves. And now they move on to the next. I don't think that will happen anymore at the Amex as well. It was 29,000 fans. And I think we're only going to see that grow and grow as the tournament goes on. Wembley's already sold out. You can't get a ticket there for love nor money. How exciting is that? How exciting is that? Can I ask you?
I'm not surprised though. I'm really not surprised. Like it's just obvious. It's just exciting. You see that even with the talent coming through. The likes of Hemp and I think it is me as well. Like these are they're young. They're sort of the important players for a lot of these teams now are like the 20-year-old players, because like the game's just like gone to another level.
Do you know what's funny about Beth Mead? In 2019, she was left out the Olympic squad. She was left out. Right. Broke her heart. She was devastated. She couldn't get back in for Arsenal. She was coming in off the bench 2 seasons ago. Then last season, she just had this rebirth. I spoke to her manager, Jonas Cedarville, the Arsenal manager at the game the other night. This is after the Austria game, 1-0 she scored. And I said, what is it? Like, what have you done with Beth? What's the change kind of thing?
Change,
He said, I just don't think she knows how good she is. And we're telling her, but Beth, you're that good. She was being left out of the Olympic squad when you're one of England's stars. I think it upset her. She's been through life changes as well. That this is just her moment, and she's happy. She's in a happy place, and winning and scoring, they say, is a habit. And I think she's just in this really bad habit that's a very good habit. And she absolutely deserves that. But, that's another great thing, is that it's just encouraging, anybody, if you've missed out. I think there's this beautiful thing about women in football, that it's that everything's accepted. And it's cheesy, but it's true. Like, you've got a family, you've got relationships there. The fans are part of it. The fans feel like the players like them and are friends with them. It's all like that. Every shirt is signed at the end of, or every autograph signed at the end of every WSL game. I see it. I'm there. I witness it. Leah Williamson is the poster girl for England, but I watch her at Boreham Wood. She could be there for an hour and a half after full time, still signing. And there's something special about that. The fans have built this up, and now they're getting back what they put in as well. So it's absolutely brilliant. Do you want England to win?
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, like you say, you're half Northern Irish, I'm half Scottish, but like I'm still, I hate that I'm half Scottish and half English. But life would be a lot easier. But yeah, and of course. And it's because it has been such a journey, and that's coming from someone who's really just, I just like sports. So I just, I jump in and I'm not jumping out. I'm just sort of, it gets usurped sometimes from the men's game. But say someone like, when we talk about the squad, and maybe England get into a final. And I just love glory. And I feel like someone like, I mean, it's heartbreaking that someone like Steph Houghton's not going to be there, but someone like Fran Kirby, and like she's always going to look 16, but she's had a long career now, right? And she's always been this little sort of messy figure in terms of how she plays. So much talent, vision, dribbling ability, the ability to pick out a pass, score a goal as well. But she kind of came in as this like youngster who's really shy. And, you know, there are so many sort of parallels with how the game has gone. That's why I think it's just, again, I get so annoyed about any kind of patronizing, and I really hope it isn't coming out from how I'm talking about, because I just think it's such an exciting journey. It's so exciting. And so if someone like Fran Kirby could score a winner in a final, I think it would be so fitting, because you've got someone who's kind of grown with the team and the sport, actually, most importantly, because like you say, the sort of the spotlight, and it's interesting, like the professionalism kind of came maybe before the spotlight a little bit. It's interesting how it kind of works out, but she's someone who's carried through that journey. So to be someone who could be there at the start of it, to go with how the game has progressed, and to be a key figure in a final for England, I think they're all just really, really exciting, like landmarks, aren't they, in the growth of the sport. And I think you talk about poster girls. I think I have got a funny feeling, we'll have to chat about it after the final if England make it, but I've got a funny feeling Fran Kirby could be the answer. I hope so.
I won't put it past her. She's a good egg. She deserves that. You know, she's been through it all of her life, and women's football has been her place to go. And now it's on the stage that it's on, and she could be front and center for it. It's a lovely moment. Listen, I know you have a baby, so you need to get your head down, get some sleep. But let's keep talking. I'm glad we had this chat. I hope I've answered any questions or had a conversation that you feel that maybe you're more interested in, you know, the tournament moving forward.
No, I think this is what I mean. I kind of keep coming back to, I think I am interested, you know, men are interested. Like it's just sport, and it's not had the same kind of spotlight. And so I think as long as that continues and we start to get excited about the narratives, again, I think women's boxing or women's fightings, like Meatball Molly, like it's such a great example of this. Like no one cares about her sex. Like it's really not important.
Katie Taylor, first to sell out Madison Square Garden, first women's boxer, like, you know, give them the platform, give them the growth, put some sunshine on that, it'll take off, and it feels like that's happening. But
this is what's great about chatting to you, is like, give me the storylines. What are I didn't know that. That's interesting. Like that's what, like if England play France, I'll be thinking, you know, is there going to be a bit of needle in this? Like this could kick off, and then all of a sudden, you know, that's where the interest heightens, I think. So I think you're right. It was good to chat. It's good to chat. It's great to see you doing so well. It's wonderful.
And you, I'm glad you came on. I'm glad we had this conversation, and fingers crossed, you know, if you want to hear more, you know where I'm at. And I hope you enjoy the tournament, not because it's women, not because we're pushing it in your face, just because I want you to be entertained by this tournament, because let me tell you, there's been some good games so far. James, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Pleasure. And we will catch up soon.